All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. today. Government extends Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana by another 6 months. India resumes scheduled international flights after 2 years of pandemic-induced ban on air travel. India achieves significant reduction in import of coal despite surge in power demand. CBI begins probe in Birbhum violence of West Bengal. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Maldives counterpart Abdullah Shahid in Malé. Top Indian shuttlers H.S. Pranoy and P.V. Sindhu storm into final of Swiss Open Badminton Championships at Basel. And Kolkata Knight Riders beat defending champions Chennai Super Kings by 6 wickets in opening match of IPL in Mumbai. As we start the bulletin, we appeal to our listeners to stay safe from COVID-19 by following these 4 simple steps. Get fully vaccinated, wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. today. It will be the 87th episode of the monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast on the entire network of All India Radio and Doordarshan, AIR News website and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. The regional language versions will also be repeated at 8 p.m. The government has decided to continue the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana PMGKAY by another 6 months till September 2022. Announcing this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that more than 80 crore people of the country will be able to take advantage of the scheme like before. He said, the strength of India lies in the power of every citizen of the country. The Prime Minister said, to further strengthen this power, the government has extended the scheme. The Phase 5 of PMGKAY scheme, the largest food security program in the world, was to end this month. The government has spent approximately 2.6 lakh crore rupees so far, and another 80,000 crore rupees will be spent over the next 6 months till September 2022, taking the total expenditure under PMGKAY to nearly 3.4 lakh crore rupees. This will cover nearly 80 crore beneficiaries across India and, like before, would be fully funded by the Government of India. Our correspondent reports that under the scheme, the centre is providing 5 kilogram food grains per person per month, free of cost to all beneficiaries covered under the National Food Security Act. A report.
In the wake of economic disruptions caused by the unprecedented outbreak of COVID-19 in the country, the government in March 2020 had announced the distribution of additional free-of-cost food grains to about 80 crore National Food Security Act beneficiaries at the scale of 5 kg per person per month under the scheme. It is over and above the regular monthly entitlements of their ration cards so that poor, needy and the vulnerable households or beneficiaries do not suffer on account of non-availability of adequate food grains during the time of economic crisis. Keeping in view the continuous need to support the food security of poor and the needy beneficiaries, the government had extended the distribution of free food grains from time to time, and now the scheme has been extended till September this year. With Dipen, Anupam Mish, AR News, Delhi.
Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is committed for the betterment of the Indian agriculture. He said the Prime Minister has always encouraged the farmers and scientists of the country to compete at the global level. The Agriculture Minister said this has led to a steady increase in the export of agricultural products from India. He was addressing the 93rd Annual General Meeting of the ICAR Society in New Delhi yesterday. Mr. Tomar said the Prime Minister holds regular dialogues with the people associated with the agriculture sector of the country, including farmers and scientists. Also, ensuring a better quality of the agricultural products has always been the main concern of the Prime Minister, he added. The Minister said efficient research of scientists and farmers-friendly policies of the government have led the Indian agriculture to grow even during the challenging times of COVID-19 pandemic. He urged the Council to start preparations for its centenary celebrations in the year 2029 at the national and international levels. Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying Purushottam Rupala, Minister of State for Agriculture Kailash Chaudhary, Member Niti Aayog Ramesh Chand, Ministers from state also participated in it.
India resumed scheduled international flights from midnight last night after over 2 years of pandemic-induced ban on air travel. The centre has announced several relaxations to the existing COVID-19 protocols that will come into effect at airports and flights. According to the new rules announced by the Civil Aviation Ministry, cabin crew members will no longer be needed to wear personal protective equipment, PPE kits, and security personnel at airports are allowed to resume pat-down search of passengers wherever needed. Airlines are directed to leave 3 seats vacant on international flights for medical emergencies and in order to facilitate a smooth conduct of air operations. Wearing protective face masks and maintenance of hand hygiene is still mandatory at airports and on flights. India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 183 crore 16 lakh mark. The Health Ministry said more than 26 lakh vaccine doses were administered yesterday. More than 1 crore 20 lakh vaccine doses have been administered to 12 to 14 years age group so far. The ministry said over 2 crore 25 lakh precaution doses have been administered to identified categories of beneficiaries like healthcare workers, frontline workers, and people over 60 years of age so far. In the age group of 15 to 18 years old, more than 5 crore 68 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far as first dose and 3 crore 71 lakh as second dose.
With considerable increase in domestic coal production, India has achieved significant reduction in import of coal despite surge in power demand. Imports of all grades of non-coking coal has come down to over 125 million tonnes during the period April to January 2022 from 163 million tonnes during the corresponding months of the financial year 2020, a decline of about 23%. The domestic coal-based power generation up to January this year is over 815 billion units with an increase of 12.55% over 724 billion units during the corresponding period of financial year 2020. Imported coal-based power generation, which was over 78 billion units during April to January 2020, has reduced by 55% to 35.13 billion units during the corresponding months of current financial year 2022. The import of non-coking coal, primarily used in power sector, has decreased by 60.87% from 58.09 million tonnes to 22.73 million tonnes up to January 2022 in comparison to the same period of financial year 2020. India is the world's third largest energy consuming country and electricity demand grows by 4.7% each year. To reduce the dependence on imports of coal, major reforms initiatives have been undertaken by the Ministry of Coal with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The ministry has amended the Mineral Concession Amendment Rules 1960 and the MMDR Amendment Act 2021 to allow lessee of captive mines to sell coal or lignite up to 50% of the total excess production after meeting the requirements of the end-use plant.
The Power Ministry has issued a circular for taking timely action for adequate coal availability for power generation in the country. It has been monitoring the coal supply situation in the country and taking steps to ensure adequate coal supply and coal stocks based on the domestic coal received from Coal India Limited, CIL, Singareni Collieries Company Limited, SCCL, and captive coal mines. As per the decision taken, domestic coal supply to all GENCOs will be in proportion to the coal received from CIL and SCCL for all the GENCOs. The country has crossed a milestone of 50,000 open defecation-free ODF plus villages. Among the top performing states are Telangana with 13,960 ODF plus villages, followed by Tamil Nadu and Madhya Pradesh. The Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen Phase 2 was launched in February 2020 with the aim to ensure that all villages in the country can declare themselves as ODF plus by the end of 2024. The Ministry of Jal Shakti has said the mission towards becoming ODF plus has several components, including biodegradable waste management, including the Gobardhan scheme, grey water management, plastic waste management and fecal sludge management. The ministry said ODF plus villages have been divided into three categories: aspiring, rising and model, to showcase their progress. This has created a healthy, competitive spirit, resulting in people participation for accelerated implementation of sustaining Sampurna Swachhata. The ministry said, as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, more than 1 crore people across 22,000 Gram Panchayats participated in various sanitation activities.
In Odisha, the ruling Biju Janata Dal has claimed 76 seats of chairperson at the urban local bodies, for which election results were declared yesterday. BJD has also won the seats of mayor in all the 3 municipal corporations, including the Bhubaneswar Municipal Corporation in the state capital. Out of the total 109 seats of mayor and chairman of municipal corporations, municipalities and notified area councils (NACs), for which votes were cast on Thursday, BJD won 76 seats, followed by BJP with 16 seats and Congress with 7. Counting of votes polled in one NAC will be held later.
Central Bureau of Investigation has begun probe into Birbhum killings of West Bengal. A CBI team reached Boktoi village in Birbhum district yesterday and started its investigation into the violence that claimed 8 lives earlier this week. On 21st of March, unidentified people had set 10 houses on fire in the village, killing at least 8 people, including women and children. The CBI team, consisting of around 20 members, went inside the house where charred bodies of 7 people were found. Sleuths of the Central Forensic Science Laboratory, CSFL, also visited the gutted houses and started collecting samples. Calcutta High Court on Friday handed over the investigation into the Birbhum killings to the CBI and set a deadline of the 7th of April to submit its progress report.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. today. Government extends Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana by another 6 months. India resumes scheduled international flights after 2 years of pandemic-induced ban on air travel. India achieves significant reduction in import of coal despite surge in power demand. CBI begins probe in Birbhum violence of West Bengal. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Maldives counterpart Abdullah Shahid in Malé. Top Indian shuttlers H.S. Pranoy and P.V. Sindhu storm into the final of Swiss Open Badminton Championships at Basel. And Kolkata Knight Riders beat defending champion Chennai Super Kings by 6 wickets in opening match of IPL in Mumbai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? ऑल इंडिया रेडियो के नए प्रोग्राम अभ्यास में हमारे विशेषज्ञ आपके सवालों का देंगे जवाब। शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे FM गोल्ड पर। इस बार का विषय है हिस्ट्री। आप इससे जुड़े सवाल व्हाट्सएप करें 9289094044 पर या सवाल ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं abhyas.air@gmail.com पर। इतिहास विषय पर आपके प्रश्न हमें 30 मार्च तक मिल जाने चाहिए। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 870001 4242 पर
8700014242।
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrived in Malé, Maldives yesterday evening on a 2-day official visit. He was welcomed by Foreign Minister of the island nation, Abdullah Shahid. In a tweet, the External Affairs Minister said, India-Maldives special partnership is poised to deepen further. Speaking at a joint press conference along with Mr. Shahid last night after their talks, Dr. Jaishankar said, our time-tested relationship is poised for a quantum jump to touch the lives of the people of the two countries like never before. Dr. Jaishankar said, we are partners in development, we are promoting peace and security, and our relationship, in many ways, serves as a model for the region. Dr. Jaishankar is scheduled to call on President Ibrahim Mohammad Soli today. The External Affairs Minister is on a 5-day official visit to Maldives and Sri Lanka following the invitations of his counterparts from these two countries. Dr. Jaishankar's 3-day visit to Sri Lanka will start tomorrow. During his stay in Sri Lanka, he will also participate in the BIMSTEC ministerial meeting on Tuesday in Colombo. The External Affairs Minister's visit will see the signing of several agreements related to the bilateral development cooperation, inauguration and handing over and launch of a number of key India-supported projects that will contribute to the socio-economic development of the Maldives and enhance its security.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called for inculcating nationalist values among youth and that protecting national interests should be the highest duty of every citizen. Urging youth to become agents of change in the society, he said protecting national interests includes preserving the rich heritage and cultural and linguistic diversity. Speaking after releasing a book, Spurti Pradhatha Sri Somaya, the life story of the late S. Somaya, a social worker, he observed that the country always believed in the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. He also underlined the importance of promoting the concept of universal brotherhood. The Vice President said that he considered Somaya as one of his gurus and credited him for shaping his personality at a young age. The Vice President called upon the youth to read and take inspiration from life stories of such leaders and freedom fighters. Referring to the challenges of poverty, illiteracy, corruption and social discrimination, Mr. Naidu called for efforts to eradicate them and other social evils. Haryana Governor Bandaru Dattatreya was also present on the occasion. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur arrived in Dubai yesterday to participate in Media and Entertainment Fortnight at India Pavilion in Dubai Expo 2020. He visited the iconic India Pavilion that showcases India to the world. Mr. Thakur also visited the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Corner at the ministerial floor at India Pavilion. He interacted with India's Consul General in Dubai, Aman Puri, and film director Shekhar Kapoor at the pavilion. Mr. Thakur also met and greeted enthusiastic Indian visitors at the India Pavilion. Mr. Thakur said the power of Indian cinema and the artists has caught the imagination of the world.
मुझे विश्वास है कि जब इस पवेलियन के आने से और हमारा मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट सेक्टर का जो यहाँ पर पवेलियन बना है, वहाँ पर बहुत सारे लोग बिजनेस टू बिजनेस कम्युनिटी आपस में एंगेज करेगी. लोग जब हमारे इतिहास को देखेंगे कि हमने कितना काम इस पर किया है, तो उससे और उनका रुचि भारत और भारतीय सिनेमा और इस जगत में मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री में और बढ़ती है.
The minister said the government is committed to support and showcase what India has to offer to the world as a film destination and post-production hub.
In Madhya Pradesh, the concluding ceremony of Chitra Bharati Film Festival 2022 will be held today evening at Ravindra Bhavan, Bhopal. Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, will be the chief guest of the closing ceremony. Dr. Murugan is arriving in Bhopal today afternoon. We have more from our correspondent.
Awards will be given to the directors of the winning films at the closing ceremony of Chitra Bharati Film Festival. Along with the award, total 10 lakh rupees cash prize will also be given to the winners. Documentaries, short films, animations and campus films on 10 themes were invited in this 4th edition of Chitra Bharati Film Festival. These include subjects like Indian freedom struggle, 75th year of independent India, Unlockdown, Vocal for Local, Gaon Khushhal, Desh Khushhal, Indian culture and values. 712 films in 15 languages from 22 states were received as entries, out of which 120 films were screened at the film festival. Actor and Vice Chancellor of Pandit Lakshmichand Rajkiya Pradarsan एवं दृश्य कला विश्वविद्यालय हरियाणा Gajendra Chauhan, film directors Abhinav Kashyap and Vivek Agnihotri will also be present as special guests in the closing ceremony. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
And now, let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember revolutionary freedom fighter Jogendra Chandra Chakrabarti, alias Hirendra Jeevan Ghosh. A resident of Mymensingh, now in Bangladesh, Chakrabarti was a member of the Dhaka Anushilan Samiti. He was involved in the Sonarang postal peon assault and theft case, for which he was sentenced to 8 months rigorous imprisonment.
In 1913, Jogendra Chandra took part in the plan to kill Gordon, sub-divisional officer of Sylhet. Unfortunately, the bomb he was carrying to Gordon's bungalow to execute the plan on the 27th of March 1913 exploded in his own hands and killed him. We pay tributes to the great martyr.
We also remember social reformer Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who died on the 27th of March 1898. Sir Syed was one of the greatest social reformers and a great national builder of modern India.
He instituted Scientific Society in 1863 to instill a scientific temperament into the Muslims and to make the Western knowledge available to Indians in their own language.
In 1875, Sir Syed founded the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College in Aligarh, now Aligarh Muslim University, and patterned the MAO College after Oxford and Cambridge universities. He wanted his college to act as a bridge between the old and the new, the east and the west.
The Aligarh movement helped infuse social and political sensibility into people across the nation.
Sir Syed contributed many essential elements to the development of the modern society of the subcontinent. We salute the great reformer.
We also remember nationalist Lakshmi N. Menon, who was born on the 27th of March 1899 in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. A teacher, lawyer, politician and activist, Lakshmi was influenced by Gandhian thoughts and wore only khadi clothes. Lakshmi N. Menon went to England for higher studies. She went to Moscow in 1927 to attend the 10th anniversary celebrations of the Soviet Union as a member of the student delegation. In Moscow, she met Jawaharlal Nehru, who inspired her to join politics. She had keen interest in women's issues and played an important role in establishing the All India Women's Conference, AIWC.
In 1948 and 1950, She was nominated to the Committee on Status of Women at the United Nations and was head of the Indian delegation to the UN General Assembly. She was elected as a Rajya Sabha member in 1952, 1954 and 1960. She served as Minister of State with independent charge of external affairs. Her tenure was instrumental in setting up the Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station at Thiruvananthapuram. She played a vital role in shaping the foreign policy of India.
When China attacked India, she travelled across many countries as India's roving ambassador to clarify India's stand among the global community. She was also involved in setting up the Indian Space Research Organisation in Kerala.
After retiring from political activities in 1967, Lakshmi Menon turned to social work and writing. Lakshmi Menon died on the 30th of November, 1994. We salute the great daughter of India.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Top Indian shuttlers Prannoy H.S. and P.V. Sindhu stormed into the finals of the Swiss Open at Basel yesterday. Prannoy defeated Indonesia's Anthony Sinisuka Ginting in the men's singles semi-final. Earlier, Prannoy had defeated his compatriot Parupalli Kashyap in the quarter-final. Former world champion Sindhu defeated Supanida Ketthong of Thailand in the women's singles semi-final. However, Indian shuttler Kidambi Shrikant lost to Indonesia's Jonathan Christie in the men's semi-finals last night.
The 15th edition of the Indian Premier League IPL kicked off in Mumbai yesterday evening. In the opening match, Kolkata Knight Riders beat defending champion Chennai Super Kings by 6 wickets at the Wankhede Stadium last night. Put into bat first, Chennai scored 131 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs, riding on MS Dhoni's unbeaten 50 of 38 balls. For Kolkata, Umesh Yadav picked 2 wickets. In reply, Kolkata overhauled the target for 4 wickets in 18.3 overs with the help of Ajinkya Rahane's 44 of 34 balls. For Chennai, Dwayne Bravo took 3 wickets. 2 matches are scheduled today. In the first match, Delhi Capital will take on Mumbai Indians at 3:30 p.m. at Brabourne Stadium in Mumbai. In the second encounter, Punjab Kings will clash with Royal Challengers Bangalore at 7:30 p.m. at D.Y. Patil Sports Academy, Mumbai.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital, Delhi, is likely to have strong surface winds during daytime. The temperature will vary between 20 and 36 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was 24 degrees and the maximum is expected to be 35 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 27 and 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 27 and the maximum will be around 35 degrees. Srinagar will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy later. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Leh is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Gilgit will have a mainly clear sky. Muzaffarabad will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy later.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Regular international flights to resume today after a hiatus of 2 years due to the pandemic, writes the Asian Age. Government allows over 3,200 international flights a week from today, headlines the Sunday Statesman. Booster dose for COVID-19 for foreign-bound in pipeline as India opens skies, writes the Sunday Tribune. These are currently available only to health workers, frontline workers and 60-year-plus people, writes the paper. In Poland, Biden urges people of Russia to oust Putin regime, writes Hindustan Times. Hike oil, gas production, Ukraine, Zelensky urges energy-rich nations, reports the Financial Express. And finally, Centre to put man-animal conflict in disaster category, as is being done for cases of fire and flood, as this will help victims get relief faster, reports the Sunday Pioneer.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. today. Government extends Pradhan Mantri Gharib Kalyan Ann Yojana by another 6 months. India resumes scheduled international flights after 2 years of pandemic-induced ban on air travel. India achieves significant reduction in import of coal despite surge in power demand. CBI begins probe in Birbhum violence of West Bengal. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Maldives counterpart Abdullah Shahid in Male. Top Indian shuttlers HS Pranoy and PV Sindhu storm into final of Swiss Open Badminton Championships at Basel. And Kolkata Knight Riders beat defending champions Chennai Super Kings by 6 wickets in opening match of IPL in Mumbai. And with that we end the morning news. Have a nice day.